On my grandma's 72nd birthday, a boutique manager told her she looked lost and asked if she could afford anything in the store. What he didn't know. Her grandson was standing just outside, and 2 weeks later, he owned the building. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. Why grandmother isn't flashy. She doesn't do drama, doesn't raise her voice, doesn't ask for attention, but when she walks into a room, people notice that it's the way she carries herself, upright, deliberate, no nonsense. She's lived through more than most folks twice her age and came out of it with her pride intact, her edges sharp, and her pearls always matched to her blouse. That she's the kind of woman who makes you straighten your back when she looks at you, not because she demands respect, but because something in your soul knows you owe it. She raised 5 kids on her own after my grandfather passed unexpectedly. She worked 2 cleaning jobs and still made it to every PTA meeting, every Sunday service, every graduation. And she made sure I never forgot 2 things. Your name should mean something. Never let anyone make you feel small in a room you had every right to enter. So when I became the first person in our family to build a tech company from scratch and sell it for 8 figures, the only thing I wanted to do was pay her back. She never asked for anything. Not a single dime, but I was determined to give her moments she could walk through like royalty. Her 72nd birthday landed on a Saturday. She wanted dinner at Mama Joyce's kitchen, her favorite place for collards, fried catfish, and cornbread that melts on your tongue. But before that, she mentioned wanting to stop by Lamarck, a boutique in Midtown she'd been eyeing for months. They got this silk scarf I like, she said casually over tea. Saw it online last week. Thought it might look good with that navy coat you gave me. I'll order it for you, Grandma. But she shook her head, smiling. I want to go pick it out myself. Walk in there. Feel it, try it on. That's the fun part. Of course, I said yes. That I didn't even blink when she showed me the address. Lamarck was one of those, no prices on the tag, boutiques. I knew the type. Quiet music, glass shelving, staff trained to size you up before they say hello, but I didn't think anything of it that I drove her there myself. She was dressed like a queen, light blue wool coat, pearl earrings, fresh press and curl, small leather handbag tucked neatly under one arm. She even wore the silver brooch I gave her last year, a tiny hummingbird, because she says they remind her of her late sister. I won't be long, she said, stepping out of the car. Just want to see it in person. I'll park and come in, I told her. Be there in 5. She nodded and walked through the glass doors, posture straight as a flagpole. When I entered 5 minutes later, something was off. The store was near empty. A young white couple browsed quietly in one corner, and a clerk was helping them with shoes. But in the center of the room, standing near a glass perfume display, was my grandmother, stiff, alone, and not holding a single item. Facing her, about 10 feet away, was a white man with pale skin, light ash blonde hair slicked back, and the kind of posture that screams country club arrogance. His icy blue eyes were locked on my grandmother with a polite but hostile stare. You know the one. The "what are you doing here?" stare that he leaned casually on the front counter with arms crossed and fake patience dripping from his smirk. Ma'am, he said, voice clipped and overly slow, perhaps you're looking for something more budget-friendly. I froze. My stomach flipped. My heart kicked up a gear. Grandma's face didn't move. I'm looking for a scarf I saw online, she said evenly. It was in the Lamarck spring collection. The man smiled, not kindly. Those scarves start at $425. Would you like me to point you to our clearance rack instead? It's toward the back. My grandmother didn't flinch. But I knew that look in her eyes, the calm before something breaks. Not from anger. From disappointment, and I saw it in her hands too, one gently squeezing her gloves. The other holding tight to her purse. That's when I stepped in. Is there a problem here? I asked, walking straight toward them. The man turned toward me, expression shifting instantly, like he realized he'd just messed up. Sir, he said quickly, I was just helping the lady find something more appropriate for. No, you weren't, I said, my voice low and sharp. You were profiling her. He raised his hand slightly. I was simply trying to assist her with, she's my grandmother, I cut in. She's more qualified to shop here than half your clients. He glanced between us. We do have store protocols. What protocol says you talk down to a woman dressed better than you? I stepped closer. What protocol says she doesn't belong here? He tried to recover. I apologize if there was any misunderstanding. We sometimes ask customers to schedule appointments for, you didn't say that to them. I pointed at the white couple still browsing, now watching the scene quietly from behind a shelf. Silenced and my grandmother gently touched my arm. Baby, let's just go. But I didn't move right away. I looked at that manager, stared straight into those pale, smug eyes. I hope you enjoy this job while it lasts, I said, and then we left. Outside, I helped Grandma back into the car. She didn't cry. She didn't curse, she just sat quietly, staring out the window. People like that still don't see us, she said softly. They don't care who we are, what we've done, or how far we've come. I nodded, jaw tight. But inside, I wasn't just angry that I was calculating, because what that manager didn't know, and what he'd soon find out, was that I knew the owner of that entire building complex, and I'd been looking for a new commercial investment property. The next morning, I called Paul Wexler. He's a real estate attorney I've worked with before, slick, discreet, and allergic to public drama. Just the kind of man I needed. Paul, I said, I want you to find out who owns the retail property on 9th and Garvey. Corner unit, upscale boutique called Lamarck. He paused for about 2 seconds. Why do I feel like you're about to ruin someone's week? Because I am. By 4 p.m., I had everything I needed. The boutique was leasing their space month to month, the owner was an aging investor looking to offload the building, and the boutique's lease renewal hadn't been signed yet. Perfect that I scheduled a meeting with the owner that Thursday. I wore my second best suit, didn't want to look too hungry, and came with a number slightly above asking. No negotiation. When he asked me why I wanted the building, I smiled. It's personal. He chuckled. My favorite kind of money. Within 2 weeks, the deal was closed. Just like that, I was the new owner of the building that housed Lamarck. I didn't say a word to the boutique at first. I didn't storm in, didn't wave documents, didn't demand anything. That I watched, installed a private security camera outside their storefront, sent in 2 mystery shoppers, one white, one black, with the exact same request, to see the spring scarf collection. One was offered coffee, smiles, and a private consultation, the other was told those items are by appointment only. Caught. Red-handed. On video. Twice. Still, I said nothing. That I waited for the perfect day, Mother's Day weekend, Saturday morning. Grandma and I had brunch like always. Afterward, I said, I want to show you something. She laughed. Don't you buy me another iPad. I promise. No electronics. We drove to Midtown. I parked across from Lamarck. She recognized it instantly and tensed. Baby, I told you, I know what you told me, I said. But I didn't forget how he looked at you. She looked at me, puzzled. You remember the manager who insulted you? Of course. He still works there. But not for long. She raised an eyebrow. Why not? I pulled out a leather folder and handed it to her. Inside was a deed of ownership with my name on it. Right below the boutique's address. Her hands trembled as she read. You bought it? I did. For me. For us, I said. For every time someone made you feel like you didn't belong. For every room that pretended you weren't worthy. For every store that forgot whose backs this country was built on. She didn't say anything at first. Just stared at the paper. Then she whispered, you carry your grandfather in you. That afternoon, I walked into Lamarck. Same manager. Same slick back hair. Same cold eyes. That he didn't recognize me at first. Not without the coat, the confrontation, the grandmother. Hello, he said with that fake smile. Looking for something? Actually, yes. I'm looking for your attention. Name's Jordan Ellis. I'm the new owner of this building. His smile faltered. Owner? Yes. Which means you work for me now. He blinked. There must be some mistake, no mistake. I handed him a printed copy of the deed. This is a courtesy visit. Tomorrow, you'll receive a formal letter. Your lease will not be renewed. You'll have 30 days to vacate. His jaw dropped. You can't, I already did. He stammered. I've worked here for 8 years. And in 8 seconds, you managed to insult a woman worth more than your annual salary. Tell me, how's that working out for you? He stood there frozen. Oh, and before you go, I added, pulling out a USB stick, here's footage of your profiling, just in case you feel like disputing anything in court. He didn't take it. Didn't say a word, just stood there, red-faced, humiliated that I turned to leave. Then paused at the door. One more thing. He looked up, I'm turning this space into a community-run showroom for local black designers and artisans. It's going to be beautiful. My grandmother will cut the ribbon. And with that, I left. That night, Grandma and I sipped tea on her porch. She wore the scarf she hadn't gotten from Lamarck. This one was handmade, from a black-owned boutique I discovered while building my plan. She smiled, soft and proud. You didn't just buy a building, baby. You bought back something they tried to take from me. What's that? My right to be seen. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The news broke before I even planned to announce it. Local papers ran headlines like, Tech Entrepreneur Shuts Down Boutique After Racial Profiling Allegation. Building Owner Defends Grandmother, Refuses to Renew Boutique's Lease. From Humiliation to Justice, A Family's Quiet Revenge. They found the footage, someone from my legal team, and I'm not saying who, leaked a clip to a local reporter. Just 20 seconds of interaction between my grandmother and that manager. That was all it took. Her calm voice. His condescension. The part where he said, our pieces might not be within your range, ma'am. It went viral, and suddenly, Lamarck wasn't just another boutique, it was that boutique, the one where an old black woman was treated like a trespasser. The fallout was immediate. Emails flooded their inbox, bad reviews poured in like rain. Even the parent brand, a high-end French label with stores across the country, issued a formal apology, but it was too late. The boutique shut its doors 2 weeks early. The manager resigned, for personal reasons. And the space, empty, quiet, waiting. That I didn't rush the renovation, that I wanted it to be intentional, the right team. The right energy. The right people. That we gutted the boutique down to its bones. Removed the marble counters, the elitist shelving. Repainted everything in warm tones, deep plum, copper, soft creams. The kind of colors that feel like home. Then we brought in the new tenants, a black-owned luxury candle maker from Harlem, a handmade jewelry line run by a grandmother-granddaughter duo, a textile artist who weaves messages of freedom into silk. That we called it, Ellis Collective. A permanent rotating showroom for black designers and creators. A space where elegance doesn't exclude. Where class doesn't come with a color test, where dignity is assumed, not earned. The day of the grand opening, Grandma arrived in a floor-length navy dress. Her silver brooch was pinned to her shoulder. And around her neck, that same scarf she'd been looking for, only this time, it was made by a local black artist, and this time, she got it for free. As she stepped onto the red carpet we laid out just for her, the crowd clapped, not like fans at a show, but like people who understood. Who felt what she'd endured. Reporters gathered, cameras clicked. A local news anchor asked, Ms. Ellis, how do you feel standing here today? She paused. Looked around slowly. Then said, I feel seen. I feel like this time. When I walked through the door, the room bowed back. I felt a lump form in my throat. She continued, this space isn't just a boutique. It's a correction. A rebuttal. A reminder. That we belong anywhere we choose to walk. Inside, she cut the ribbon with a gold-handled pair of scissors. Her hands didn't shake. She smiled as she said the words, for every woman who was told she's too old, too dark, too out of place, this is for you. The guests applauded. Some cried, and I swear, for just a moment, I saw something change in her shoulders. Like a weight she'd carried for decades had finally dropped. Later that day, I stepped outside to get air. I saw a familiar face across the street, the manager, plain clothes. No fancy watch. Just a bitter scowl and arms folded that he didn't come over. Didn't speak, just stared, and I nodded, not with arrogance, with closure, because sometimes, the best revenge isn't fire. It's rebuilding what they tried to burn, stronger. Louder. Brighter. A week after the opening, Grandma invited me to Sunday dinner. She cooked too much, as always, and made sure I left with 3 containers. After dessert, she said, "You know what still gets me?" "What's that?" "That man didn't think I belonged in a store. And now my face is in the window." I laughed, because it was true. We'd put a portrait of her in the front display, her seated in a velvet chair, smiling, arms crossed like a queen. Under it read, "The Standard. The inspiration. The reason." Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.